Welcome back to Derek Stories for Kids. Don't forget to subscribe after the video and please enjoy the story. Stone Soup by Marsha Brown. Three soldiers trudged down a road in a strange country. They were on their way home from the wars. Besides being tired, they were hungry. In fact, they had eaten nothing for 2 days. How I would like a good dinner tonight, said the first, and a bed to sleep in, said the second. But all that is impossible, said the third. We must march on. Suddenly, ahead of them, they saw the lights of a village. Maybe we'll find a bite to eat there, said the first. And a loft to sleep in, said the second. No harm in asking, said the third. Now the peasants of that place feared strangers. When they heard that three soldiers were coming down the road, they talked among themselves. Here come three soldiers. Soldiers are always hungry, but we have little enough for ourselves. And they hurried to hide their food. They pushed sacks of barley under the hay in the lofts. They lowered buckets of milk down the wells. They spread old quilts over the carrot bins. They hid their cabbages and potatoes under the beds. They hung their meat in the cellars. They hid all they had to eat. Then they waited. The soldiers first stopped at the house of Paul and Francoise. Good evening to you, they said. Could you spare a bit of food for three hungry soldiers? We have had no food for ourselves for 3 days, said Paul. Francois made a sad face. It has been a poor harvest. The three soldiers went on to the house of Albert and Louise. Please spare a bit of food. And have you had some corner where we can sleep for the night? Oh no, said Albert. We gave all we could spare to soldiers who came before you. Our beds are full, said Louise. At Vincent and Marie's, the answer was the same. It has been a poor harvest, and all the grain must have been kept for seed. So it went all through the village. Not a peasant had any food to give away. They all had good reasons. One family had used the grain for feed. Another had an old sick father to care for. All had too many mouths to fill. The villagers stole into the street and sighed. They looked as hungry as they could. Then the three soldiers talked together. The first soldier called out, Good people. The peasants drew near. We are three hungry soldiers in a strange land. We ask you for food, and you have no food. Well then, we have to make stone soup. The peasants stared. Stone soup? That would be something to know about. First, we need a large iron pot, said the soldiers. The peasants brought the largest pot they could find. How else to cook enough? That's none too large, but it will do. Now water to fill it and a fire to heat it. It took many buckets of water to fill the pot. A fire was built on the village square and the pot was set to boil. Now, if you please, 3 round, smooth stones. Those were easy to find. The peasants' eyes grew round as they watched the soldiers drop the stones into the pot. Any soup needs salt and pepper, said the soldiers as they began to stir. Children ran to fetch salt and pepper. Stones like these generally make good stone soup. But oh, if they were carrots, it will be much better. Why, I think I'll have a carrot or 2, said Francoise. Off she came back with her apron full of carrots under the red quilt. If we only have a little beef and a few potatoes, this soup will be good for a rich man's table. The peasants thought that over. They remembered their potatoes and the size of beef hanging in the cellars. They ran to fetch them. A rich man's soup, and all from a few stones. It seemed like magic. Ah, sighed the soldiers, and they stirred the beef and potatoes into the soup. If we only had a little barley and a cup of milk, the soup will be fit for the king himself. And indeed he asked for just such a soup last he dined with us. The peasants looked at each other. The soldiers had entertained the king well, but no use asking for what you don't have, the soldiers sighed. The peasants brought their barley from the loft. They brought their milk from the wells. The soldiers stirred the barley and milk into the steaming broth while the peasants stared. At last, the soup was ready. All of you shall taste, the soldiers said. But first, a table must be set. Great tables were placed in the village square, and all around were lighted torches. Such a soup! How good it smelled! Truly fit for a king. But then the peasants asked themselves, was not a soup require a roast, bread and cider? Soon a banquet was spread and everyone sat down to eat. Never has there been such a feast. Never had the peasants tasted such soup and fancy made from stones. At last they were tired. The 3 soldiers asked, "Is there where not a loft we could sleep in?" "Let 3 wise and splendid gentlemen sleep in a loft, indeed. They must have the best beds in the village." So the first soldier slept in the priest's house. The second soldier slept in the baker's house. The third soldier slept in the mayor's house. In the morning, the whole village gathered in the square to give them a send-off. Many thanks of what you have taught us, the peasants said to the soldiers. We shall never go hungry now that we know how to make soup from stones. Oh, it's all knowing how, said the soldiers, and they went down the road. Such men don't grow on every bush.